We'll try to explain the Indian behemshach to what the Mamer is coming to. What's Mevildad is bringing. The Kodesh Advarim is that the Shidduch is here to explain the ilu of the Indian of the Maila and Ketz, which that's ultimately the Indian Eitzer. Huh? Was that wrong? Huh? But that's ultimately the Indian, too close, too far. Good. So. That's ultimately the Indian Eitzer. So Messiah Bachar needs space. So ultimately the Indian Eitzer, the Chaparayim before you have no space. So the Indian Eitzer, that was just the Snapplight language. So the Indian Eitzer Lamaila that the Indian Eitzer Lamaila that the Indian Eitzer which the Melech is Mevazviz, the Shul Nitzach and Amalchama. So the Nekudas Advarim is that Lamata Mata in Tachlis is that even in the Shtalshalos, even the Mata there's the Hisgalus Ein Sof. That's the Nekudas Advarim, that the fact that the Eir Ein Sof Velakus is not only that the Eir itself is Ein Sof in the realm of Eir, but also the way also in Elamis there's expressions and there's the Hisgalus Ein Sof. That's in the Mata and the Tachlis. It's in the Tnua Sagili, which there is near that. The Tnua Sagili is blikvol. Mala and the Ketz is different in you. The fact that the Eir is Beis Almos, this Almos Eir. And Adrab, this Almos Eir is nach a hechere ili that expresses a deeper ili in the Eir, and that's the Inyan Ha'etzem is expressed in the fact that the Eir is Beis Almos. So this Kama Pratim, the Inyan Almos. There's the Etzem Inyan, the Etzem fact that the Eir could be in a ifin of Helim, that's already shows in the fact that the Eir is higher than the Gdarim of Gilui. If the whole Metzias Eir would be Inyan Alakus, the Alakus comes be Gilui, then he wouldn't be able to be present, even though he's in a way that he's not expressed. So the fact that the Eir could be in a state of Almos, that itself is connected to the Ilya Eir, that the Eir is the Gadlus Ha'etzem, which is higher than the ramifications of Gilui. And then, but Prat what the main ufta that I was speaking this Mamer is that Nekudas Helim is that even not that the Eir could be Beis Almos, and even mitzad the Geder of Helim, also there is Shaykh is connected to the Ein Sof, which we'll see in the Hemshel, the Nekudah that brings from the Magid. Well, Lamer Zen where we're holding now, so we'll see where do we get? Ubezem Betartzim, yeah, that's what we're holding. There's an upper shulis here, so we have the Akopanam. So lifnei tzimtzum, the Eir Ein Sof, the Eir Abligvul is begilui. B'meila is not fizas makim to the Metzias Eilamis. Lo haya makim leMetzias Eilamis. Ubezeh haya tzimtzum. What's the pshat tzimtzum? Tzimtzum Eir Legani, tzimtzum b'derech siluk. That is Galus Eir was in ganzen nisalim. Asher lechen nikra makim cholol reikon uponi. That there's no gilui. Means it became a makim where there's no Galus Eir. Yeah, the Rebbe speaks. The Gabi Etzem, it's not Shaykh to say that there's a Mokim which is Poni from the Etzem. The Gabi Atzmos and the Dargas which are higher than Eir, it's not Shaykh to say there's a Mokim which is Poni from their Indian, because the fact that Atzmos is Nimtza has nothing to do with the Gdarim of Gilui. The Chatchilas Mitzvah doesn't relate to the Gdarim of Gilui. So the fact that Goli Behergish, the Mekabel is not Margish the Eir, that doesn't have any ashpa on his presence there. Mashiach said, Gedra Eir is his Galus Amor, in a place where there's no Gili, in a place where he's not expressed, in a place which results in the fact that the Eir is Beis Almos. So that Mokim is Pani from Eir. That Mokim is Shaleki in Eir. Mokim Pani, there's a Mokim, Pani is a Bereka Machal. V'acharkach, and Mitzadeh Megafon, the Friedrich Rebbe's Lashon of the Mamer is, let's just see the Friedrich Rebbe's Lashon of the Mamer, because it's in the Geda. Shas was Elim Pasha traders of Ablikvol, so the Mitzias, the Anoch is, the given is, the reality is that there's a Lukus, and the whole music of Mitzias is not Shaykh, is not Shaykh. They had Simtsum, there was this Almos Eir. The Mela, what's Nirgash of Pshitas Makam HaMakabel? What's the Hergish? The Hergish Makam HaMakabel is the B'chinas HaYeshes HaMitzias. The Pshit is the given, the reality itself is as that there's a Mitzias. Not this Spashas Lukus, there's a Mitzias. That's the Gedra Makim B'murgish. What's Nirgash in this Makim is Mitzias and Yeshes. And the Lakus, Acharkach Nimshach Kav Kotzer, but that's already with the Chidush. Means the reality itself, how does the Nivra sense? What's the natural sense of the Nivra? What's the given of the Nivra is that there's a Mitzias and Yeshes, there's a reality outside of the Nivra. And then there was the Amshach, there's this Lakus B'Schach, there's Nimshach Lakus in Veld. But upon das zu getan through Tzimtzum that the Nirgash Pshit is B'chinas HaYeshes v'Mitzias. So Nirgash Hergish HaYeshes is Pani V'Reikon from the Inyan Eir. The Inyan Eir is this Galus that the Hergish is that Hulavadi Uvein Zalasi. Simpson there was this Siluk Eir is in Gilui Herzach Nish Elukus. So what's the Gilui? What's the Hergish? The Hergish is Yeshes and Mitzias. And this inyan that Yeshus and Metzias is a mokim ponui, it's vacant from Elokus, that's only the guy with inyan agilu. But the guy with inyan etzem, so it's not shaykh to say that there's a mokim that because it's hergish is yesh, so mainly is pony from the etzem. Because the etzem is being here is not dependent on the regesh goli of the mokim amakab. Okay. So that brings now 3 pratim when I get to the inyan of aniyah violation nisi. Let's first see the shaila and then we'll see the hamshich advar. B'zeh metar tzema shekos of aniyah violation nisi. Steht in the Elokus, there's no shinui. Al derech zeh steht the lashon steht in there in this Mamer atohu actually nivrelam atom shnivrelam. The famous shaila that what's far about given that the Eibishter once he created the world he ceased to exist. You have to say the same way you existed before the world is created, he still exists after the world is created. Why should we think that there is alvar and ace? But the pshat of Chassidus is that the same way the Ata was lifnei shnivrelam, the same way the Ata is mishnivrelam. And the shaila is the chori shini gadol b'yeser. The chori is there's a shini gadol b'yeser. The etzem in not tzimtzum. So first the air was begili, and now the air is in a different mode. And there's the hergish, there's this pony from Gilead. That's the chorashine. And then v'chargach b'riya sa'elim is the etzim in abriya. We're not going to go into all the pratim here. The etzim in b'riya sa'elim is also that l'chatchila, let's say there was a whole of. So first there's a shine in the way the air exists. First he was present in one way, and now there's a mokim, so to speak, where the air is present in a more limited way, in a different way. And the second shine is the very fact there's a mitzias. Lifnat since there was no nisin asmagim for a mitzias. There was no vel. There isn't a sense from Mitzvah. There's come a nekudas and chassidus when they get to what the nature of the shina is. But let me send the nekudah. Ad can move a little by Mamer lamata mata adi tachlis. So the shaila is so vi for entering the shaila b'nei violation is. So that brings a kama pratim, and the nekudah of the teretz is the first prat is the inyan atzimtzum. Inyan atzimtzum explains why the inyan ais havos is not getting many shinis. What's the first thing? Das bringt für mittel Rabbi that lechol in a woman ich erim leishan nisi that ekshayeshin afil malchus dasiyar malchus chamalchus kalalam. There he says that you say malchus is mahava elumis. Which malchus mahava elumis is malchus that tzilus is mahava biyah. With which kayach is malchus that tzilus mahava biyah? That's sof kol sof. The sherish of malchus that tzilus is the malchus the insof kameshul lifnei tzimtzum. It's not a separate. The kayach for malchus that tzilus lahavis elumis biyah is all mitzad its sherish and malchus the insof. And the mittel Rebbe is married that before this parak. That when you get to Ratzim, when you get to Chachme, that even though there's the Shtashlos of Chachme, Lamata Mata, but it's all one Mohos of Chachme. It's nicht kein Mazun der Inyan. So Mele Shalish, Malchushcha, Lifnei Tzimtzum, Zeo Malchus Kol Olam. It's not the Pshat that there is Mitzad Malchus, the Ein Sof, there's Netzel, a different Pchina of Malchus. It's the Keach HaMalchus, the Ein Sof, which is Sof Kol Sof, Nimshach in a way, which is Mahava Elam. So it's Malchus, the Ein Sof, which is Nimshach in a way, which is Mahava Elam. So L'chor is a Shini. Gamel Machi Tachti. V'mkein Ksheyesh Shini Malchus Dasiya, and there's Kama V'kama Shinuyim. Harez the gufa belashina l'chor b'malchus chash lifnat tzimtzum eich emra v'niyah v'aleshanis. So lamer zan der erste Sach metaretz kivan shano emrim shayet tzimtzum asher bezeh she'elam onos ina di leva'olo l'chen ein ze pelashina. What's the nekudas hadvarim that when is there shaykh to say a shini? If you have an alien and you have a dover hanishpa min alien, so if the hashpa, let's say in this case the hashpa nimshach ba'elam is lamer onamin that there is shinuyim in the eira nimshach ba'elam. Let's say there's changes. That malchus datzilus, let's say, so you have it's in a mode of his havos, you have in a mode that's it's mufshit from his havos. There's in Eir L'Ki, which is nimshach in Veld, there's a tnu of chesed, there's a tnu of gvura. Let's say that the amshachas L'Kus, the way it's nimshach in or in a pashta even. You have in Veld daim tzemech chayim medaber. So medaber is mekabel more chayis than tzemech is mekabel, and tzemech is mekabel more chayis than tzemech is mekabel. So there's a shinuyim in the degree of chayis which is nimshach. Every nivra is mekabel different degree of chayis. That's in of shinui. You have so you have the musik of a lakus is there's different modes on the way the chayis laki is nimshach. That's shinui. Shinui means that there is different nuschayis of how you take the inyan. There's different versions of how you take a certain inyan. You have the moshlach chassidus when you get to Rav Talmud. So the Rav is mashpia seichot Talmud. So there's the way the Rav understands it, and then there's the way he explains it in order for a Talmud which is on a lower level than him to be able to understand the inyan. So the Talmud doesn't understand the inyan the way the Rav understands it. The Talmud understands it differently. So now you have two versions of how to take Seichel HaRav. You have this idea, the way that the Me'ach HaRav understands it, which is in a much more Edel, higher Eifin, and you have the same concept the way the Talmud understands it. That's in a lower Eifin. So there's Shinuyim, there's two versions of how to take the concept of the Rav. So there's an Elokus. The Eivish himself, the Eri himself, let's say, is Blikvol, but in Daimim, in Tzemech, and Eilomis, they're not Kalim for that it should be married the Blikvol of Elokus. How much is B'chinas HaMedaber able to handle? How much Chayis V'kiyum, Chayis L'ki, is nimtza mchinas medaber, a limited amount of chayis, how much the medaber is able to handle.
And in Chai is not Nidriker. So you have Shinuyim, different versions, different Efanim of how Lakus is Mizgal. That's the Chorei in Shini. And the Avadli Shinisi means that the Eibishter is an Akudas Apshitis, which is not shaykh to say that it should be different versions, different ways of how to take the Indian. But again, in the Marshal, when you get to Rav Talmud, so now you don't have, you see the Pashta, even once the Rav explained the concept in a way that Talmud is able to understand it. So first of all, now there's two versions of understanding this Svara. And the Talmud's version stands independently for itself. That's in of Shini. And the Rav had to create it, and it is Kama Pratim in this Shini of Rav Talmud. But the Kodesh Advarim is that now you have Kama Ifanim of how to take the Seichel Rav. So the Chorah is a Shini. Lechatchila, the Seichel Rav was only, let's say, in the Mayach Rav. Only he understood it. And now there's another way of the way this is being expressed. So the Shaila is, in the Chayas and Lekis, the way it's Nimshach and Velt, there's Kama V'Kama Shinui. Every Nivra is Mekabel the Chayas in a different Eifel. There's more Chayas V'Kiyum in Tzvah Shemayim than there is in Tzvah Aretz. B'chora that Shini. That's the Shaila. So them Zokter, the first teretz is that this Havas is Idea Tzimtzum. Shachas Chayas and Lekis and Velt is Idea Tzimtzum. So what's bringing this Aretz? That what's Nimshach and Velt has no erech. Doesn't contain any percentage of the Ein Sof of Elokus. So the Gabi the Ein Sof, the Metzias HaTachton is not Tevis Makam at all. That's the first push, the first Nekudas of Anei Vav Lishinis. Even though the Shinuyim and the Shtalshalos, the whole Metzias HaShtalshalos is Kolochshiv, has no Tfisas Makam the Gabi the Eli. When a Shaykh says Shinui, you say the Marshal Rav Talmud. So you have the idea the way that Rav understands it, and I have the idea in a limited form, in a limited version. Wie the Talmud versteht this. That's Shinui. Mashiach, if the Eldian is Blikvol and the Tachton is Gvol, Gvol Gabi Blikvol has no Tfisas Makam. So Sate Pshati, you have the Indian of the Rav in a different way. The Indian of the Rav is Ein Sof. The Tzimtzum of Uvgetan that it was Nimshach and Aif, and that's Shalei Be'erech Legani, the way the Indian is lifting at Tzimtzum. Vi Verta side Tzimtzum is not a Shaila, but the Nekuda is the Erech, they say the relation between the Hamshach and Vel, Legabi, the way it is lifting at Tzimtzum, there is no comparison at all. That's why Tzimtzum Derech Silu. There's no similarity between the the way it's Nimshach and Vel, to the way it is lifting at Tzimtzum, Ein Sof. If the HaNimshach has no tfisas makom klal, has no erech, has no comparison to the the way it is different at Tzimtzum. So what's kaviyachol going on in the shinuyim which happens the mislabish is not pel any shinui in the in such different at Tzimtzum, because it's nothing of him is there. There's nothing of Ein Sof in the chayes that comes in the Eifin of Gvul. The chayes shebegvul is batal betachlis to the Ein Sof. Has no tfisas makom at all. That's the erste Zach. So if it would be Shalei Adei Tzimtzum, die Mekubalim haben gehalten, that the Ramak le Yodem in that Tzimtzum. So gehalten that Amshachas Elokus in Welt is not through a Tzimtzum Derech Siluk. What does it mean that it's not through a Tzimtzum Derech Siluk? It means that there's some form of comparison, there's some form of relation between the Eir Ha'Ein Sof to the Eir which is Nimshach in Welt. So then, if the Eir which is Nimshach in Welt contains a certain percentage or a certain dimyon to the Eir Natal Shalif Nat Tzimtzum, so now there's two versions of this nekuda. You have the way the Indian is expressed in the Eifin of Blikvul, and you have the way this Indian is expressed by Eifin Mukbul. By Eifin Mukbul, Gufet is Kama V'Kama Eifan. That's the Chor Indian Shashini. But once you say Dam Shachas Elukus in Velt, Adi Tzimtzum means that the Elgian is totally not expressed in Dam Shachim. It's not that it's expressed in a very limited way. If it was expressed in a very limited way, then it's Shili. That means that the Tachton is another version of that Indian, in a much more lower Eifin. We're saying that the Tachton doesn't express the Elgian at all. The Elyon was nostalgic legamri. He's b'chlan. The Eira Blikvul is not mayor in a limited way la'acharat tzimtzum. It's an under Indian, so to speak. Tzimtzum derech siluk, and the Amshachas ha'er, which is la'acharat siluk, is not a chelik. It's not a me'ein. Has no dimi to the Eira the way it is different tzimtzum. So Eira Lim bertish mishlan, and either the Shinuyim and the Amshachas elukus and Velt, the Metzias, the elukus, the whole Metzias ha'elamis has no tzitzis mak. Legabi the Blikvul, the whole Gedra Gvul doesn't exist. Has no tzitzis mak. And the fact that Elokus relates to Gvul doesn't express him at all. He's not a part of it. So he's not Mishtana. His Indian bleibt in even for the stuff in Blikvul. There's no Shini involved. So what's the beard of Aniyah violation Nisim mitzad this Indian? That the Metzias Ha'elam is Kolochshiv, has not Tfisa Smokim like Abedar. And so it doesn't, the reality, you say, a Pashta Dugma, you say that in a Svara there's no colors, there's no green. You can't say there's a green Svara, a yellow Svara. Or a square svara or a circle svara. In svaras, there is no concept of green and yellow and circle. So there's no concept there. So the fact, it's not going to be mishanim. Legabi, the Erin Safa Blikvul, all the shinim of Gvul are kolochshiv. They don't exist. You're saying that the Ein Safa is Blikvul, gefinter zechumedum. And gefinter zechumedum, not that he comes in a limited way. Because it's Ein Safa, you can't be magbalim. Not that there's, so the fact that he comes in this form, he comes in that form, is not, he doesn't relate not to this or not to that form. Because he has Ein Sof Ba'amitis, but Meila is a Rekol Mokim. Not that he's Misyachis, not that that he comes Be'erech and he relates to the Mokim. So the fact that Elokus comes from Eifin of Hakbala, that doesn't express his Muhus, and doesn't express his way of being present with it. And they're Kolachsha, they're not Tevis Mokim. That's the Erste Bier. Amazon. Well, so there brings that means that the Hamshachin Vel has no Erech. Ilav Olo mean that the Olo, the Davar Hanimshach from the Makir, is the Chilek HaTachton of the Ila as Mislabish in the Olo. You have the Mashal of the Seichel Lamidus is Ilav Olo. Means a Mensch versteht dass the Zach is good. As a result of the fact you understand that this Indian is a Geschmack Zach, so you're Nis'er with a Midas Abba towards the Indian. In the Midah is Nirgash a little bit of the Seichel. What is a person like? A person likes the good that the Seichel Shoy came to the understanding, came to the realization that this thing is a Geschmack Zach. And to the goodness that Seichel understood, the Av is Nimshach to that type. So in the Midah is Nirgash the Seichel. So you have the way the Seichel is Meir b'Mayach, and you have the way the Seichel is Nirgash b'Leiv in the Midah. It's not in the same degree. The Eif and the way Seichel is Nirgash in a person's Mayach is in a much more of a higher degree than the Maskonas Seichel, which is Nirgash b'Leiv. But it's Ilav Ol, or Machshav and Dibur. Now Dibur is the same Mahus of Eisis, just more Na'akshamet Eif. So it's the same Inyan on a lower Eif. That's Ilav Ol. So in Ilav Ol, Kanzner Zagan, so that's already an Inyan of Shini. You have the Eli in the way he is Mufshit from the Tzir of the Ol, the way he is in the Ilah, and you have the Eli in the way he is Nimshach and Mislabish, and Behesim to the Metzias Ol. That's already a Shini. And Al Derech Zeh, the Shinuyim which the Olo goes through, affects Saf Kol Saf, the Ilah. Because if the Olo is the Dibur HaMachshav, these Asis which are in Dibur stem from the Asis HaMachshav. Asis HaMachshav, the Asis are in a more Edel Eif. The Asis through Nimshach, through Eish Tashel, they come in a more Grab Eif. But they're still the same, it's still Asis. It means there's still an aspect of Machshavah which is expressed in Asis HaDibur, but in a different Eif. And Al Derech Zeh, there's Shinuyim in Asis HaDibur. Asis HaDibur is Mischalik, let's say. Much stronger Eschalkus than Asis HaMachshavah. That Eschalkus is also Payil a Machshavah, because Machshavah relates to this Eschalkus. If Machshavah was in ganzen Mufshit from the Indian of Eschalkus, then there wouldn't be able to be Asis in the Eifin of Eschalkus. The Asis are Moshesh and Machshavah. The fact that there could be Asis in a way of Eschalkus Legamri, that means that the Indian Asis bim Kaidam aren't in Shelo that Eschalkus Batachlis. If the Gabi Asis bim Kaidam, there's no concept of Eschalkus Klal, so how could the Musik of Asis be expressed in the Eifin of Eschalkus? So that is if you say that Amshachas Chayes Lukus in Welt. There is a Lukus Abligvo, and then through a Tzimtzum, a Bissel von der is Nimshach in Welt, and in Welt it comes in the Eifin of Eschalkus. They may more, Tzameach less. If there's a Yachas between the Chayes and the way it is Ve'etzim to the way it's Nimshach in Welt, so first it does Gufas Hashim. You have the Chayes, the way it's Mufshit from the Geder of Vul, and you have the Chayes, the way it's Nitzir of Vul. And then the Shinuyim of Welt are Prayel Hashini in the Elyon. Because its Chayes is being expressed in this lower Eifin. So that means that there's some, the Shinui in the Eschalkus is a Metzias Legabe the Elyon. If it's a Metzias Legabe the Elyon, then there's Shinui. Then the Shinuyim in the Olul are Safka Safa Ashini, also in the Ilah. So the Rabbi understands something a certain way, but he's able to express his Svara, the two Talmidim. Each Talmud understands it differently. Versteht das Edeler. But if his Svara could also come in a Eifin, in the world of Eschalkus, that means that this Svara is not Shayla, that it could be expressed through the form of Eschalkus. That means that this Svara is nice, could also be in a divided way. That's in Nafshini.
Does he have to bring that very Sakedish before this whole thing?
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what's the. I said about last time about that, but hell, let's go through these Sibiurim. It's very clear. Some pratim. Yeah, but there's a idea. Means when you say Ilav Olul is there's an alien Natachtin. There's a Midas and Seichel, and Midas is not the expression of Seichel. Midas is a different Mitzias which is affected by Seichel, which is mishabit through Seichel. Even there there's a Musik of Shini because it's not in the same Eifin as Shefa. Shefa is the same Inyan, but you have the Inyan the way it is by the Rab, and you have this Inyan the way it is in a lower Eifin. That's much more of a Inyan of Shini. Mashegam be'ilav ha'olu, the Seichel mitzadatzme is taken, Seichel is not Midas. But you have the Inyan HaSeichel, the way it's Nirgash, and the way it's taken by a different Inyan. But there's also Musik of Shini. But Pratim, there's Shefa is more the Inyan of Shini than Ilav ha'olu. זהו עדיק מה שמשתמש בלשון ער. שהוא לישלוס in the בכלל, the time for was משתמש בלשון ער is that in his galus is others לגבי the yachas of ער לגבי the mor. לשית נכסי דסייך. What's that? Why do we use the lashon ער? We want to bring out that Amshach is chayes elukus. The fact that elukus comes in the of hergish. It's not that there is two efanim. You say
if it does not verstehen der Wort, but even called the Nekudas Advarim is, if the Musik of the Parshas Advarim, you'd say, the etzem is beyond its expression, higher than being nirgash. And then there is the fact that the etzem could also be in a way that is nirgash, that is meir b'gilui. Gilui is a lower way of something something being present. You have something being present in the atzmis dekaifin, which is not mugbal, not limited to any form of. He's higher than his galus. And you have the inyan, the way it's expressed b'gilui. It's expressed b'gilui. It has to come in some type of is the smargish. It's in some type of experience, some type of hergish. That's a shinu. So that if we're saying that there's the inyan, the way it is be'etzim, the inyan, the way it is b'gilui, that's called an under verto shefa. Shefa means you have the inyan in one eifin, you have the inyan in a lower eifin. The eid is a ard bavad. The musik of eid is that the hashpa has no yachas, is not a percentage of the elyon. That's when you say this. But I want to first go through the Hamshich Advarim to see what the point is, and just stand sich auf jeder prat. The Elam knows this in the Beifim Kali, yeah? That eid is a ard bavad. And it doesn't, it's not the pshat that you have two ifanim, how the inyan of a lakus is. You have a lakus in the ifin be'etzim, and you have also the way a lakus comes in the ifin be'ifin gilui. The gilui has no tfisas makim klal, the gabi the etzim. The gilui is already bavad, doesn't express at all. It doesn't capture the muhusa etzim altogether. It's via zifaran gilui. We're saying something else. Since the etzim is not mugbal, so he's not limited to be an ifin of etzim, the etzim can also be an ifin of gilui. It's not that there's two ifanim, it's not that there's two versions how to take this etzim. There's the mustik of alakus, the way it is in the atzmis the gaifin, and there's the mustik of alakus, the way he comes within the realm of gilui. There's one akudas etzim. There's one akud of alakus. This akudah is not mugbal in any tzir. Therefore, it could also be begilui. It's not by David Talmud. They say you don't say that the seichel Rav is not limited. Therefore, it could also be in a way that Talmud understands it. We're saying there's the seichel Rav is one way of understanding the inyan, and then you have the inyan the way it's in a lower way, the way the Talmud understands. It's two separate inyan. Mashiach in the Nukud of Eir is there's one etzim. The inyan agili is not a mahuz davar from the alien. The inyan agili is mitzad the heder akbal of the maker can reichish tem begili. The is bekannt mit dem inyan. Let me get a bit weiter. It's inyan. What do you mean yechelis? This is the inyan. When you get that's the inyan b'fnei atzmi. If you don't, if it's nicht da der art to learn the chiluk in v'shef, I'm saying it's a whole inyan of chassidus. I'm just saying b'fnei klali the word. The nekudas advarim is that the has no tfisas makom like avidat. It's not what I'm trying to bring out is nachamol the seichel Rav Talmud. You have the idea the way the Rav understands it. You have the idea the way the Talmud understands it. The idea the way the Talmud understands it is stands independently. You have a concept, and there's two ways of understanding this concept. You can understand it in an edeler eifin, you can understand it in a lower eifin. And if you can ask the Rav, if the seichel that the Talmud understands, does it resemble the svara that it resembles it in a mutzumtzum the kaif. Gilui has no erech to the etzim. His galus the gilui hamoker, the gilui is gvul, let's say, and the etzim is ultimate ein sof. The gilui doesn't the gilui can't express the etzim mitzad its nature itself. It's hard bavad. They would say hard bavad means that the inyan agili has no tfisas makim klal like Talking about the etzim of a lukus, let's say. However much we're going to experience him, that's going to be a limited experience, let's say, a limited gili. The etzim is ain't stop betachlis. So the gili is not another version of him. The musik of Erin al-Lukus is because the etzim is not limited to be in a eifin of he could be in any limited way, in any limited form. Therefore, the etzim could also be begili. It's not another mitzvah. That's the b'meila. The eir is not pel any shini in the market because the gili itself has not tizas market. The prat the mile of an eir is nicht negeh it's there. But the main thing with negeh is that the ufto of tzimtzum is that the amshacha which comes la'achar at tzimtzum has no eir klal like the eir the way it is different. Then bring the Rebbe. That's one of the reasons why Chassidus uses eir not shefa because the chisarn of shefa is so that ksheyesh shini b'shefa nasa shini gam b'mashpia. The etzim meaning of eir or bavad that's nicht as if full negeh dazu reingehen in them. The etzim meaning of eir. Yeah, the Elmas with me. Yeah, we're yeah. The kanari emrim shayini not tzimtzum. Befrat tzimtzum arish. Which was the tzimtzum arish? Shay yisil good. Kam efanim mit tzimtzum. You have tzimtzum a parsa that the Rav is the parsa sof goes soft through the mashal. The inyan is expressed through the mashal. You have tzimtzum derech miyut. Then you have tzimtzum derech siluk is that the inyan the way it is by the Rav that's in ganzen is tal. That's in ganzen amir. And the talmid's bein arech to the Rav. And the inyan the way it is in his galam that tzimtzum has no yachas klal, has no relation at all to the inyan the way it is different tzimtzum. Different from the gamri. Tzimtzum derech siluk. The meile so legabi the eir ha'ein sof shlifnei at tzimtzum the eir agvul is bottle has no tfisas makim. It's kolachshin. If it's kolach shiv, you say ad kedekach kolach shiv. Al derech you're going to say you say a svara that has that circular square. It doesn't exist. See, the tzimtzum derech siluk mut ufgetan through the tzimtzum and become masber sein a svara through colors. However, we understand how tzimtzum is ufgetan, but colors the gabe the seichel has no tefisas makom klal. So the shinuyim was vert mitzad the fact that the svara comes in the realm of colors. That's not a shinui in him because the mahus svara is mufshat legamri from that. And the Eira Nimshcha, that Tzimtzum has no Yachas, has no Eira Klal, the Gabi the Eir shall live in that Tzimtzum. Keila Mevin. Shenasa Cholo Reikon Omokum Pony, V'lei Bevin shall live all. V'chakach Nimshach Irak Kav Kotze V'dak. V'gam Badarga shall live in Ezer, Hora Yehoya Tzimtzum, Rak Ba'er V'or, Leibin in the Shef, Hashem Yizamu, V'nich She'en Zepel, Shum Shini Ba'ani Ba'atzmus. But the Rebbe is inside here to the Shari Yichud, he's Mevaris, she says it not only the Gabi the Etzem Mamash, also the Gabi the Eira Blikvul. The Gabi the Eira Blikvul, the Shinuyim was Vern and the Eira Gvul is kolachshiv, has not tefisas makom the Gabi the Eira Blikvul. That's the Einzach. So according to this beer, what are we saying? Brings weiter. Mitzad this beer, let's have to remember this word. We say that, let's say the Eira, the Shleit Chassidus says, we say Tzimtzum, when a machlekes zwischen, so when we say Tzimtzum is Kipshutei, Tzimtzum Kipshutei means that Tmura said that the air was begilui, that the air was present. That the air was present. In this space, the air retracted. You say the Marshal B'Nefesh Ha'adam that you have, let's say the Chayes is Nimshach in the Yad, means the Basar Yad is living from the Chayes, let's say, and now this Chayes retracted, the Stalkas and Neshama Minagov. The Neshama still exists, but he left the space of this body. The body doesn't contain Chayes anymore. So there was a siluk. Tmura said that the air was meir. The air, there's the etzem, and the etzem contained his air within himself. But in Eilam the air is not present. And the Alter Rebbe says Tzimtzum means Helen. Not that the air retracted from that place. The air is there. But the air is not an Eifen of Gili, it's an Eifen of Helen. That means that we don't have in Mishalim, we don't really have this real musig of Helen. It's not just the touch of this Rabbi would like saying the Zohar. Saying the regular musig of Helen, I'm just saying, you say in Elam Hazal, someone's going to say, someone's going to take a certain box with certain treasures, you're going to cover it. You're going to cover this tea. You can say that now this tea is Behelim because I'm blocking it. It's not Behelim. The fact that a person could see something is because the davar which you're seeing is nispashet until your eyes. So now when you cover something, so till the michsa, till the cover, the davar is mispashet. There's no block, it's nispashet there. So it's not Behelim, it's Begilui. The mitzias of the whatever's in the box is mispashit until the michsa. Beyond the michsa, 100% beyond the michsa is behelim. Beyond the michsa doesn't exist at all. When you cover it, so now the spashis of the chveis, the drink that's under there doesn't extend itself further. It's not that it's behelim, it doesn't exist at all together. That's siluk. Siluk means that the Indian doesn't exist. Doesn't exist in the, you say in the pshat and since that siluk means that the air doesn't exist in the Metzias in the Metzias Eila. The air is nimtza, but it's not nimtza in the Eifen of Gilui. It's behelim. That means that the Mekabel doesn't sense the air, but the air from its point of view is present in the previous Makam Mekabel. But then what's the Nekudas Advarim Lefiza? So how do we say something's present even though the Mekabel doesn't sense it? Even though the Mekabel's l'chore shalei behesim to the air. Let's say the Mekabel's gvul, the Elam is gvul. And the Alter Rebbe says, even though the Elam is gvul, the Ein Sof is present in every single nivra. He's not expressed there. It means we don't see begilui ainin of bli gvul in the Nevrayim. The Nevrayim are gvul. So in Bezgalus we don't see any remnants. The fact that there's Ein Sof present in a table. But the truth is that Ein Sof is nimtza b'kol makom. And not only the mar, the etzim. The Eira Ein Sof, the Izgalus of Ein Sof is nimtza in every place. Now, the Mekabel is not margish. So what's the pshat? But he doesn't relate to the Hagbalus of Damag. The fact, usually, I just want to bring up this point because it's going to get to the Amsha. So usually when you say one thing is present in something else, you say there's tea in this cup. What pshat is tea? Because the cup could handle the tea. It means when you say that something is present somewhere else, it's present there because the place where it exists is able to handle it. You say in Ein Sof, the Nibra is Gvul. Gvul doesn't have the tchunis that it could handle Bli Gvul. That's from the Gvul's point, it doesn't have the possibility to be stable, to handle Bli Gvul. But the fact that Ein Sof is Nimsa everywhere is for different reasons. Not because this place relates to it, and this place is able to handle it. Since you cannot be magbal Ein Sof, the Alter Rebbe says you cannot say that Ein Sof is nimsa in a certain place because he's bligvul. So because he's Ein Sof, he's everywhere. When you say that, with the fact that you say the table is in this room, it's not that the table is here because from the table's point of view, there has to be the room could contain the table. There's a space which contains this table. Something can't be present somewhere else because from my point of view, I exist. If you're existing there, then it has to be that the place where you're present is able to handle you. You need to have the place's agreement to your existence there. Mashaykhim say the fact that Eri himself Nimsa B'Kol Makim is not because he relates to every Metzias Gvul. He doesn't relate to Daimon. He doesn't relate to Tzameh. So Seichel, in the Meach of a person, Seichel could be Nirgash there. In the heart, Seichel could also be Nirgash. But in the feet, Seichel can't be Nirgash in the feet. So why can't they say Seichel should be there? The Seichel, there's no relation between the Seichel and the foot. Since there's no relation, so Seichel is not present in the foot. You can only be present somewhere if there's a yachas, if there's a shaykhis between the davar and the place where he is. That's only shaykhis if your presence is mitzad gvul. Means the reason why Seichel is present in the Meach, because the Meach is a keli for it. Seichel is a specific thing, and he has its mokim where it is, and Meach is a keli to Seichel. Mashiach Ein Sof, the fact that Ein Sof is present everywhere, why is Ein Sof present everywhere? Because he cannot be magbul, because he's Ein Sof. Because he's Ein Sof, so from his point of view, you can't say that he's dafke in gvul and not a bligvul. Because then he's not Ein Sof. I thought you're saying that his Amitis Ein Sof has no definition at all. If he has no definition at all, so he's everywhere. Not that he relates to the specific properties of the everywhere. The way he's Ein Sof, he's everywhere. If I say that's Ein. So the Agbolis and the Shinuyim of the Mekabel don't exist in the Gabidel, are not Tevis Makam the Gabidel. And he's Nimtza because he's Ein Sof. Not because he relates to this form or relates to that form. I think that's one beer lishonis. The Rebbe read that zweiter Zach, that's going to get to the Hemshech, that's going to get to this, that's going to be Madgish, this Abchana. The Rebbe read weiter that there is the Eir Agvul. Means there's the Eir which does come according to the Sigdorim of the Mekabel. Let's see, when you get to Tzemeh, there's the Chayes Eliki that comes in the form of being Matzmiach at Tzemeh. So this Chayes Eliki Ein Sof, or he comes behesim to the tziyur of a keich hatzmicha mikatas agadas. He comes behesim to the metzias hanivra. So that's shenanad in the ganze. The fact that Ein Sof nimtza b'kol makim, the fact that the era bligvul, he's not the pshat that through silok he was mistalik. He's nimtza, but he's behelim. But there he doesn't relate to the specific shinuyim of the makom hamakav. He's the malim yishalkus, and they're like the malim yishalkus. The way he is Ein Sof. Gefinter Sachen Daimim Tzameh Chaim Medab Shignasim Kashi is Ein Sof. How is he present there? If he doesn't relate to Daimim, he doesn't relate to the Tzur of Tzameh. How is he present in Tzameh? The teretz is Ein Sof. It's not Shach L'Sei Agbala. If you say that he cannot be present in Gvul, you're saying that he's limited, and you cannot say any Agbala on Ein Sof. So the way he is Ein Sof, he's Nimtza everywhere. He doesn't relate to the Tzir of the Mekabel. So there, what's the Pshat Leishon Nisi? That the Shinuyim don't exist Legabi. They're not even smoking Legabi. And with what is he present in the Gvul? Because he's Ein Sof, you can't limit it. Mash'enkin, we were saying that then there's the Eir Gvul. What's Pshat Eir Gvul? The Eir that comes in a Eifin, that he comes behesim to the form of the Nivraim. He comes behesim to the Metzias and Nivraim. So the Chorah, that Eir, it should yet be nispal from the Shinuyim of the Nivraim. But you heard the Avchanas Achilik. From what the Rebbe is speaking when they get to the Eir Gvul, the fact that there's no Shinui the Eir Gvul. And the Kud has to be clear. Lanish is a herd dominion.
Is he believe in Amitas Bligvul?
Huh?
Is he Bligvul?
Amitas Ein Sof. Is like Bligvul. The Amitas Ein Sof, you cannot say that he's dafke present in Bligvul and he's not present in Gvul. Why? Not because what I'm saying is we're not when we say that Ein Sof is Nimtza b'kol makim, it's not the pshat that he relates to every place. He's Ein Sof, but Ein Sof you cannot say that he has a certain area. Then you're being magbul. And Ein Sof means that he's Ein Sof, that he's Amitas Ein Sof. Familiar is Nimtza b'kol makim. But he's Nimtza without relating to the pratis, the geshinuyim of that place. The Alter Rebbe says in Daimim there's Ein Sof mamish, not a chayis mugbelis to the tzir of Daimim. The Ein Sof is Nimtza b'kol makim. If we think with what is he in Daimim, he doesn't relate to Daimim at all. That's kasha. This wasn't the pasha. But the pearl, the hechrech that he's everywhere is because the Ein Sof has no limits at all. So we cannot. Since he's Ein Sof, you cannot say that he's dafke in Ruchnis and not in Gashmis. Because Ebazer being Magbal. The Rebbe is saying here to the Shariach, there he says that Legabi the Bligvul, Kachashecha, Ka'era, means his Ein Sof is not affected by the Shinui. His init is never mischalik. Em Kameshu is Nimsa B'Koma. He's not expressed. And the shinuyim have no erech to him. Verkehrt. We're saying the fact that he's present is not because this makim has an erech towards him. If the makim had an erech towards him, the fact that he's present in Tzemeach is because Tzemeach expresses him in a certain way. There's some relation, then there's shinui. We're saying the Tzemeach has nothing to do with him at all. He shalei berech hard in Tzemeach. Tzemeach is bull and he's amitas avligvul. There's no erech klal between bull and avligvul. So then you say he doesn't exist everywhere. He does exist everywhere because ain't stuff is everywhere. Without relating to the Hagbaladik Gdarim of the Nivra, he's present because you cannot say that he's limited to a certain form of being. The Mele is Zimtzah B'Kol Makom. What the Rebbe is speaking weiter, when you get to the Eir HaGvul, it's a whole different Indian. The Eir HaGvul is an Eir which comes behesem to the tzir of the Metzias. That's it, there's Tzemeach, and there's Chai, and there's Medaber, and there's a Chai Seliki that comes behesem to the tzir of Chai, behesem to the tzir of Tzemeach, behesem to the tzir of Medaber. So there, it's not the Eir Kamesh who ain't Saf as Zimtzah B'Kol Makom. The Eir, the way he comes into that tzir of Gvul. That's the Eir HaGvul. It's a Kav Kotzer. It means he comes the Eif in the Nivraim. And even the Gabi this Eir, we say that there's no Shinui. Now we'll have to see. If I stay the meaning. Why the Basi the Hecher of Tzim Slapkiv? Saying what's the Hecher of Tzim Slapkiv Shutei? So because I'm not going to the Biyurim, I'm trying to say is it's not he's present everywhere, not because he suits to the everywhere. See, we have in the Vrayim there's Tzemeach, Daimim, there's different types of. So the Ein Tzav is Nimtzav B'Kol Makom, not because he suits to the Tzemeach and he suits to the Daimim. The way he is Ein Tzav, he's present everywhere. His Ein Tzav is not the way he is. Ein Tzav is everywhere, and the whole musik of Shinuyim and Agbalis don't exist legabim. The concept that to be somewhere, you have to relate to that place. You have to have something in common with that place. That Hagbala doesn't exist legabi the Ein Sof. So legabi him Shinuyim and his Chalkos are not Tevis Mam, don't exist legabi. So there's no Shinui. You heard the meaning? So I'm not going into the Hechlech why the Alter Rebbe said Simtzum Lavkib Shutai. As it does like the Alter Rebbe, that's Simtzum Lavkib Shutai. I'm just trying to say is what's the beer that the Ein Sof is Nimtzah B'Kol Makom? Is it because he doesn't relate to the Shinuyim? The Shinuyim don't exist legabi. That's what the Rebbe says. The Eir HaGvul, what does Tzimtzum bring out? That the Eilamis and the Hamshach, the way it's Nimshach and Eilamis, has no Eir HaKlal legabi the Blikvul. So what's the Pshat is Nimtzah there? Lepel, we say Tzimtzum is Helam, not Silu. Because he's Ein Sof. Avada, that's Tzimtzum is Helam. It says clearly there in Sharichot, the word of Helam. The Rebbe is Mitzayin also to the Mamer Tovker Samach Beis. There it touches this Mufurish, that Tzimtzum is not Silu, Tzimtzum is Helam. No, Samach Beis is on the Sharichot.
Not speaking about how the Eir itself is not
Not the Eir HaGvul, the Eir HaBlikvul. Got to let him the Eir HaBlikvul, nothing the Eir HaGvul. Sai Perektes and Sai Samach Beis, let me get to the Eir HaBlikvul. There it means that the Tzimtzum is Helam, not that he's not present there. That's a bad thing with the Mamer. Let's first see the Gofeni. This is an important point. Shegam ba'er and pel shemshin. What's that Rebbe? Hagam shebe'er hayat tzimtzum. וגם אלה נמשכו קו קוצר ודק, שמזה שהוא קו קוצר ודק, מובן שנמשך בשל קוצר, שגם זהו צמצום, נעיס לזה שמתחיל לנמשך עדי צמצום, אבל כן אין מוליש ניסה גם על אר. So what's the second air? You have the air that does come by from tzimtzum. You have the air which is tzimtzum at pel granafem, that it should come in a way that suits the Metzias Eilamis. So the Churim, it's at that air, so you have Kama v'Kama Dargas and Eilamis. There's Eilamis Ein Sof, there's Eilamis Atzilis. So the Gabi, the Ein Sof, the Shinuyim and Eilamis are not Tevis Makom Legabiyim. Means they have no meaning Legabiyim. And he's present because he's Ein Sof. It's not Chazak. But then there is the Kav Kotzer Mitzumtzum, which comes the Fitzir Eilamis. So the Gabi him, there's Dargas and Eilamis. And he comes behesim to the tzir of Eilamis. So l'chor in that air, there's the air the way it's nirgish and atzilis, and then he comes in the lower eif and he's behesim to Eilamis biyah. L'chor in that air, you have the air, this air akav the way it is lifnat tzimtzum. The Rebbe is Dr. Freya. But the Rebbe is saying here, gam be'er and pilshim shin. The Rebbe speaks kama pratim the air akav because you have the air akav the way it is a prat in the air ablikvul. You have the way that air akav comes in the eif of avdollah from the air ablikvul, and in them guf is coming the kama shinui. So l'chor the shinui. So you can't say that the air is mufshut from the shinui. The whole nikud of this area is that he comes by eifim tzimtzum. That the tzimtzum is peilan and that he should come in a eifim of tzimtzum. He should come behesim to the tzir of eifim tzimtzum. So what's the pshat? There's no shini. So there brings two pratim. Ich sage, wie verstehe das. So there brings like this. So the pshat is eigentlich nicht am leer. We're gonna have to see how all this also is negeya to explain was the Rebbe Valarizli negeya to the Ma'ila gets. But let's see. It's interesting because the Tzemach Tzedek there says that there's no shinu even in the Eir HaGvul. Even in the Eir HaNimshach Hayde Atzimtzum, there's no shinu. But the Peri doesn't explain it in Amanas Lukas. He just says the Guf Inyan, he doesn't tie shop over there. What's the pshat? There's no shinu in Eir HaGvul. But dort maybe gam kemashkas makamacher bir mashkas veis chaim shigam be'er ein shim shinu. Dort taish sich nicht. What's the beer gesagt? He just says that sometimes. Move a dogma is bringt in the kotetera zweiter or the dogma for example. What's the pshat? Mi Moshe Rebbe says, there he says, you see, the Gabi the Eir HaBlikvo we say that he's not Messiachas to the Metzias Elis. He's not Messiachas to the Metzias Elis. The Eir HaGvul does come to the Metzias Elis. And the Chore Ebazei, so there's Shinui. So then bring out the dogma that Nishmeisha was Neshama Datzilis. B'shas Meisha was alive, so this Neshama Datzilis was present in Elam Hazar. He was Melumish Beguf. So Azevet Menzagen, we have, we have Shaitan Apipashtis. Atzilis is higher Kalim, so there the air is no higher air. That is Mitzamtzim more, and the air comes, Behesim to Elam is Biyah. That's a Shinik. So you have the air the way is in the form of Atzilis, and you have the air the way it comes into the form of Biyah. So Alter says it's not a Shinik. The air itself stays the same. There's no shinuyim in the air gufa. It's only a shinui whether what the mekabel is margish. But the air himself stays the same. So what's the Alter doing? The Alter brings when they get to Moshe Rabbeinu. That b'shas Moshe Rabbeinu was alive. His neshama is neshama datzilis. B'shas Moshe Rabbeinu was neshama beguf. So the elam atzilis was present here in elam hazard. He was neshama beguf. Gedet gashmis ge'esis. There was a person molubish beguf, and here was the consciousness of atzilis. So elam atzilis is when done in elam hazard. Now that, so it was that in the front. We have the aid of Elam Biyah is not the Muhusay. You say the aid Hamalubish in Elam Biyah in Elam Hazard is not the Muhusay a different air than the air the way it is not Atzilis. If you see, we're talking about air Agvul, not air. If Atzilis has the limit that he can only be in a form of Elam Atzilis, he cannot be in Elam Hazard. So V'Yezer Geven says, what's the pshat that there was a Guf Gashmi there was the Zgalus air Atzilis. That means mitzad the air which is nimshachim biyah, the air agvul, and the air atzilis is be'emes the same mahus. Sachakel and the air the air of elam atzilis is present within elam hazah also. Sachakel the mekabel we're not margish. If you had a guf, they were able to be margish the air, but was margish given. We're not sensitive to the fact that there's air atzilis. But legabe the air gufa there's no shina at all. Let's bring the Alter Rebbe the dogma from Moshe Rabbeinu. No, I'm saying the Alter Rebbe and Shas Moshe Rabbeinu to the left. So you had the Eira Atzilis was nimtze kam lamat in Elam Hazeh, and the Achris Talkos Moshe. It's not the pshat. It's not the pshat Achris Talkos Moshe. The Eira Atzilis was nimshach and a higher. During Elam Hazeh there's Eira Atzilis too. Sachaka there's no keli which could sense this air, but mitzad the air he's nimtze here in Elam Hazeh. Mitzad the Eira Gvul. Even the air, the way the air comes, behesim to the Metzias and Ephraim, talking about the air of Elam Atzilis, not the air that Insa. Even the way the air comes in Seir, so this air, mitzad the Muhusa air, is not mugwa that he has to be dafke be in Eifin of Atzilis. Mitzad the air is nimtzi mispashit, he can be mayor even in Elam Hazeh. And even behaving now he can be mayor in Elam Hazeh. Sachaka, there's no kelim which are bringing it up. The way it is in Atzilis, no, that's the negate Elam Atzilis. So even the air Agvul, Atzilis is talking about the air Agvul. Even the air which is not the air which the Gabim, there's no Gedarim at all. We're talking about an air that is Nizgal according to the system. Even the air, the way it comes according to the system, B'mhusay, he's not limited in the tzir of the system.
But he's limited to Lachar Tzimtzum.
I'm saying, maybe I'll just bring out the point this way. I'm saying is, we used this dogma, I mentioned this dogma yesterday, I didn't bring the Zach. What's this Chalkas Advarim? What I'm saying is, so we'll see what the Alter is not. We're just going to put this like, there's one, I mean, there brings us in a Mamer somewhere that there's two efanim how, there's, by a person there's keches pnimim, let's say, and then which each kech is mugbal. There's seichel, there's midas, and each kech has a certain, it's a specific kech. Seichel is not midas, seichel is a specific thing, the power for understanding, and there's emotions, for shidna keches. Then there is ratzin. Ratzin is not a kech prati. Ratzin is that the general eye of the person is drawn towards something. It's not a keach prati. It's not. Seichel is the power to understand. It's not a power to want. Keach ratzin is that the general eye, not a keach prati in the person. The general eye is nimshach to something. The mahus nefesh, the way he's beyond being connected to tzir prati, is nimshach to a certain need. Yeah, ratzin is a keach. That's why
the Ratzin is Sheilach and all Keiches. By Seichel HaMidas, the Seichel can't control the Midas. If the Midas are Kelim to Seichel, then Seichel is going to have an effect on them. See, someone can't control someone else to understand. If you understand it, you understand it. If not, not. Seichel cannot control the Mekabel. He's not higher than him. Seichel is a specific Kayach. And in Seichel, let's say, is something's understood, and the heart is not a Keli for it. The Seichel can't you say, command the heart to want a certain way, or to feel a certain way. Ratzin is Shalit. Ratzin is higher than all Kelis, because the Kol is Hanefish. But Chassidus says that there's two Eifanim, Visa, Brains, Chareis, the Take of Ratzin. There's one way is that the Take of Ratzin is expressed in the fact that a person could want something, and even if it doesn't make sense, and it's against the Seichel and it's against his Midas, but he won't be mischashev with the Seichel Midas. Legabe Ratzin, legabe him, Seichel Midas have not to smoking. Even if it doesn't make sense to want such a thing, the eye of the person is not limited that he has to make sense. The Etzema Adam doesn't have to be something which is programmed that has to make sense. Ervil, he's Nimshah. So legabe the Etzema Adam, Seichel Midas have not to smoking. So there's one way that the take for Ratzin is expressed in them that Seichel Midas are Nizbaka. Legabe him, they don't exist. That's the Einei. It's better if that says that the Ratzin matters a Seichel. If a person wants something, the Ratzin is toil that the Seichel should start finding Hatzdakis and Achveis reasons to be mastic the Ratzin. So Seichel mitzad atzmai would never, let's say, if Seichel would function on its own, it wouldn't have came up with these ideas for Achveis, these svaris lahatik the Ratzin. Because he has a Ratzin towards it, because it's nefesh, and the Ratzin is a stark Zach. So mitzad the take of a nefesh, mitzad the take of a Ratzin, the Ratzin is matis a Seichel. That the Seichel should function with the Ratzin will. Yeah, so that's as I'm asserting. So what I'm saying is there is the Seichel, there's the Gvul, and then there is the Ratzin. The Ratzin is not a davar mugdal. Ratzin is the Meshichas HaNefesh, the way the Nefesh is not a Keach Prat. But you have two Eifanim how this Bli Gvul is misbat. One Eifan the Bli Gvul is expressed in the fact that Legabe Ein Sof, Gvul is batal. Gvul is distinct. You have another way that the Bli Gvul is misbat in them, not that Legabe him the Gvul is batal. That he could be nimshach because he's not limited to a specific form, but mainly he could relate to any form. He could relate to any tzir. The Ratzin, mitzad, take a Ratzin, he could be poil, lahatis is a seichel, that the seichel should be matzik as Ratzin. A regular keach, let's say, seichel, you understand something. Or a person understands something, let's say. But you can't, let's say, you say, where a person wants, a mensch versteht a gewisse Sache. You cannot be poil, heipech teva alein. You can't force the heart to function not the way the heart functions. That you have a keach elyon which can be shalom. The heart has its gdorim, seichel has its gdorim, and in order for the heart to be affected by the svara, the heart's going to have to be behesen to the svara. Ratzin as a tchuni, he can be shalom. Mitzad the Ratzin, he's not mukbal in the kolam of in the akbalus of the keches pnim. So Eber will is Eber zayin is. But in was for Efer brings Chareis the blik vol of the Ratzin. Not that he's going to cancel out the seichel u'midas. The take of a Ratzin is expressed in them that he could deploy that the Seichel HaMidas should function not mitzad the way they have to function according to their limitations. They could function mitzad the way it is, mitzad the take of a Ratzin, mitzad the Blik Vol. You heard the chiluk. What I was saying is the Eirak Vol, as mir learn, and you say there's the Etzem HaNefesh and there's Keches Pnimim. Keches Pnimim are Dvarim Pratim, Dvarim Mugbalim. Then they're Gvul. Gvul is Agbalis. There's Shinui. The Ratzin HaMates HaSeichel is not Gvul. He doesn't come in a way that Legabe him the Gvul doesn't exist. If the Gvul doesn't exist, then he wouldn't be poil that Seichel lahatis ta Seichel. That Seichel should be mamtzi time and musvaris lahastik as a Ratzin. The fact that Ratzin comes in a that he's poil and Seichel, that Seichel should work behesen to the Ratzin. That's because he relates to the Keches Pnimim. He's mizgala through them. But mitzad what is he? But mitzad what is he in a form of Seichel mitzvah? Because he's Gvul or because he's in his Ratzin, he's in his Bli Gvul. But it's the Bli Gvul, the way it's expressed in the fact that he could relate to every form. That he could be nizgal in every form. So, but B'mhusa is Bli Gvul. The Erein Sof ha-Bli Gvul, the Lifnetz himself, the Erein Bli Gvul. Erein Bli Gvul is that it's Herz, that the Eibusher is Ein Sof, and Legabe him there's no element, there's no Metzias of Gvul. The Erein Kav is not that in Yoni is Gvul. In Yoni is that mitzad the Ein Sof v'Elokus can Eicha stehen in the Eifen von Tzir. He could also be nizgal in the Eifen of Gvul. He can be his Ein Sof is amachayev to cancel the Gvul. That there should be nizbatel the Gvul. As even through Gvul, the Ein Sof could be expressed. The Ein Sof could be heard. The air could be made in Gvul. So b'mhusay, it's an inyan of Bli Gvul, not inyan of Gvul.
But last year you said that before this person.
No. I'm saying the I'm going I'm saying this word that even the Eir HaGvul there's no shinui because the pnimi is mohusiv the Eir HaGvul in Yoni is not gvul. If it was gvul, then there's shinui. In Yoni is that the Eir HaEin Sof could also be an Eifen of gvul.
That was only what was it?
So that's it. You let that there's two Eifanim. How to understand the musik of Ratzon Matas Hasel. I want to bring up. Full is bringing the word freer. You heard the meaning. I'm saying, I said last time that there's two Eifanim how to understand the musik of Ratzon Matas Hasel. There's one way to understand it is that you see mitzad there's one way to understand it is that mitzad and you say the pashta usually you understand Ratzon Matas Hasel is a lower darga than the Ratzon that you say in Chadarein Lifnei Ratzon. Because the amitis musa nefesh seichel amitis have not tfisas makim. Pnimius nefesh is pashut from tzir. Legabi the pshitis k'meish hu b'mehusay seichel amitis have not tfisas makim. The fact that there's a darga of Ratzon which is mischashiv with seichel amitis, that alone is a darga that's already the way he comes in a lower eifin that gvul has a pashut advar. Why is it? Certain people they're not mischashiv with seichel amitis. Certain people are going to find hatzdakas to be maslik. So it depends if you're talking about a person that b'chlal his seichel mitzvah have not tfisas makim. So when he wants something, ervil, and it's a gate of nishtan whether it's understood or not. Mashenkin, you have a person he has takar ratzon which is nifresh from etzma nefesh, but he also matters to him to do things that make sense. L'poyel is a mention we should mention, and seichel and people function up his seichel. So mele, what kvetches him that his ratzon should not be disregard the seichel mitzvah, but it should be matus seichel. V'asedes v'gnezam a certain mensch that seichel mitzvah have tfisas makim by. So the Havana Pshuta is the fact that there's what's Pshat Eir HaGvul? That the Eir could also come in a tzir of Gvul. It could also come in a tzir not by being shelo the mitzvahs of the Nifraim, not by being mevato them. He comes, he suits himself to express himself on their terms. Why is he coming on their terms? Because so the Parshat Dvarim is there is a mitzvah of Eilam. There's a mitzvah that Tzimtzum in Gavar Navel, mitzvah the roof that's in Gavar Navel, and now the Eir is legabi the Eir which is nimshach la'achar Tzimtzum. There's even though his Indian is big vul, but lagabe him, there's also a velt. The mele he wants he's mischashiv with velt. He's not going to be a vatli. The parsha is the lower dark. The Eir in such lifted system is the Eir the way it's Meir Kameshu. The Eir mitzad the way it's Meir Kameshu. There's no mitzvah of velt. There's no musik of mitzvahs before. Ashink la'acharat simtzum. So now there's already nesinas makom ta'ilum is. Even though we're talking about the Eir HaKav, which is nimshach in velt, but the reason why the Eir HaKav comes in Eif, that he's Meir through the gedarim of Eilam is. Because mitzad this even though his Indian is not gvul, his Indian is as the the spashis of Elokus. But his Indian is, but saf kosaf legabe HaKav, el Mesrar Mitzis, mitzad gvul. And since el Mesrar Mitzis, he's not going to cancel them. He'll be in his galet through them. The parsha said tzimtzum, so you read it. That there's some tfisas makom to the Mitzis Eilam. If there's some tfisas makom to the Mitzis Eilam is, we'll see, Metzen. That's the Parshas Advarim. That the Eir HaGvul, the reason why the Eir comes in Eifin Mugbal is because he gives Yad Tfisas Makom Te'emes. The Meili is Meir in Eifin, not an Eifin of you say Sheil them. He's Meir in Eifin that they should function according to the Ratzon. Not they should function Eifin. Mitzad Gvul, the Seichel wouldn't be finding Tzedakah to the Ratzon. The fact that Seichel is finding Tzedakah is because the Seichel is functioning the way he is Mechuyev Mitzad the Bligvul. He's functioning Mitzad the Ratzon. But the point is the Ratzon canceling the Seichel, or through Seichel he's going to Vetzachar bring his own through Seichel. So that Api Pashtus, that's Mitzad the Eir is Mitzumtzum, more Mitzumtzum the Eir the way it was lifnei Tzimtzum. Mitzad the premise, but I'm trying to make out is when you say Leishanis the Gabe Eir itself is Bligvul. Legabe the Eir Bligvul doesn't exist. Gvul has no tfisas makom at all. There's no concept of Eilamis. There's no concept of Nivraim. There's no Shinuim, there's no Eschalkos, there's no concept of Makim, doesn't have to relate to anyone, there's no system. So the Eilamis of Abligvul. See, and because there's no system, you say, how is he present here if he doesn't relate to the Tziyurim of Deim Tzemech HaMedar? He doesn't have to relate, he's Ein Sof. And there's no Musik of Agbala, the Gabe Ein Sof. B'meila is Leishanisi, because the whole Shinuim and the Tziyurim of the Nivraim have not Tfisas Makom, the Gabe there. And the fact that he's not Begili is also not a Shin. What's the Kod of Gili? He's not Nirgash. That doesn't affect him. The Eir is not bound by the Gdarim of whether the Metzias is Behesem Tim or not. From his accord, he's Nimtza B'Kolman. From his accord, he's Nimtza. Doesn't have to relate to the place that he's in. Eir HaGvul, that I was talking about when you get to Eir HaAtzilis, he comes in the Eifin, or brings two Dugmayos over here when they get to the Leisha Nisi in the Eir. Atzilis and Nevuah. Eir HaAtzilis is not Eir HaBligvul. It's the Eir the way it's Melubash and Kelim. It's the way the Eir is mislabish that Elokus is Meir through Chesed. But in Yoni is not Chesed. In Yoni is that the Pshittus of Elokus should be Nirgash through the Inyan Chesed. Come Biurim, but that's the Nekud of Kol. It's Er. Er is the Izgalus Hamoyer. Not Gvul is not Er. Er is Er Mein Hamoyer. The Izgalus Etzim. But you have this Izgalus Etzim, the way the Etzim is Batz Musa. The Etzim is Ein Sof. Like him, there's no concept of Gvul. That's the Er Ablik Voshlifn Etzim. You have the way the Etzim is Meir. That means the Spashtus of Elokus, the Spash, it's Meir, the Eibish's Pshittus, but without canceling the Gvul. I'm using the Dugma of Ratzim Matas HaSeichel. The fact that Seichel is finding reasons is Neveh because the Nefesh is not Mugbal. If the Nefesh should be Mugbal, then Seichel wouldn't be able to find reasons for Azafar Hakta Ratzim. The fact that the Seichel is finding reasons because he's not Mugbal to the form of Seichel. But how is this Heder Akbala being expressed? Through Seichel. Through the fact that Seichel is not functioning as a limited thing, it's functioning through a Blikvol thing. So this, the Er Neshamet Er Datzilis, which is already an Er which comes Behesim to the Tzir of the Nevraim, if he comes Behesim to the Tzir of the Nevraim, so he should be Mishtana according to the Kalim, after that the Er Batzmus is Blikvol. And it's not Mishtana, before we say the Hezbollah. So move on, Neshamet Datzilis. First, I'll show you Bifnim, be the Rebbe Zak, this shouldn't be. Lamer Zan Pasha the Aces Bifnim. Sag, move them was a mission shade Neshamet Datzilis, we know the word, the base, none of Elu, in Chinas Datzilis Subriya. So, Agam Sha'om, Rabbi Shchabi Semidish Batla Nevuah. What's Nevuah? Nevuah is Galas Elokus Tanivra. And that Rebbe says it's Mislabish in the Me'ach HaNavu. That's nicht Insof. Let me negate it's a bit of Shas Chabi Semidish, but what's the Pshat? The Nevuah now went to a higher world. Batla Nevuah, is there a Shinu? Till now there was Nevuah in Elam Hazah. And now the Nevuah ascended to a higher level. There's no, his Galas Elokus doesn't, you say, there was a Rav, and he was in a state of lowering himself to relate to a Talmud, and now the Rav removed himself, and now he's in a higher state. That's the passion you understand. The Rav is not revealing himself in a way that Talmud should be able to sense it. He removed himself. What's the Pshat Batla Nevuah? That the Izgalas Elokus of Nevuah doesn't exist anymore. Elokus is not Mizgal in such a Eifin of Nevuah. So the Rebbe Zaknish does it. Ein apirish yesh shini ba Nevuah. Gamati yesh ina Nevuah. Lepoyo, no one's tapping into that energy. That energy exists, and the energy mitzad his mahos could be nisgal in Elam Hazah. Means the energy is in a form, but lepoyo, there's no nivra, there's no makabel, which is tapping into that energy. But mitzad him, he's nimsa in Welt. So what's the part that there's no shini there? You say there's all the shinim that exist in Ephraim. What comes out from here is be'etzem dafis verstehen legabi the different shinim of them tzimei chaim adar. The Rebbe is saying legabi this in of nevuah. Let's say in the earth there's no shinim. Chassidus brings a dugma l'mashal legabi the keich hatnu shviyad. A person's hand freezes, his finger freezes. It doesn't say legabi erakbol, but when the person's finger freezes, so he can't keich hatnu can't function if the hand is frozen. But there's no shinu. The keich hatnua's presence in the hand is not changed. The keich hatnu, at its point of view, is fully be slapshus in the yad. L'poyal, the psar yad is naifin that he can't express the fact that the keich hatnu is present in the yad. There's no shinu in the air. Eir atzilus is gefinz agdar elam hazeh. L'poyal, we're not tapping into the air. There's no mitzad the Eir is not an Aifim that he's only shaykhas to a higher world, he's not shaykhas to a lower world. The Eir of Atzilus is mitzad his accord, is shaykh l'hoyer l'spashat here in Elam Hazeh, and to be felt on a guf. L'poyal, there's no guf that's tapping into this energy. But not that the Eir was mishtan, not that la'achri, that the Eir ascended to a higher dark.
As opposed to the Arab Blivo, which is not Shaykh at all to tap into?
The Arab Blivo is not, l'chatchila kumt nicht an in die Shinoim from Guf. This air comes the chiddush. We'll see the chiddush. I think that this next verse explains the teich of what the Rebbe was saying before. This valdera is there. What's the hemshech advar? The Rebbe brings that there's no shin in the air, even the air akav. So the tzimtzum is not a real shini. The tzimtzum is that he's not an aifin, he's not being expressed. But he mitzidai is not, he mitzidai could be in his God. But do like I said when you get to Eir Atzilus Ne'elam Hazeh. That Eir Atzilus mitzidai could be expressed in a guf. It's technical. There's no guf that's tapping into this energy which is right now present in Elam Hazeh. There's a energy present in the realm of Elam Haza, of Elam Atzilus. Lepoy, we're not tapping into it. So al derech zeh, you say the Eir HaKav, is the Eir Mitzumtzum. The Eir HaKav, Bamitis Mahusay, is energy from Eir Tzav Abligvol. The same way the Eir HaKav is Lifnei Tzimtzum, which the Eir HaKav is Lifnei Tzimtzum, was a prat in Eir Abligvol. It wasn't Mishtanim Mitzad Mahusay. The Tzimtzum hat nur Pel gewend, that Legabi the Mekabel is nicht nirgash. But Mitzad the Mahusay Eir, there was no Shina at all. Mitzad the Mahusay Eir, it's exactly the same Mahusay the way it was Lifnei Tzimtzum. But Dugmas, like they say, Eir Atzilus. B'shas Moshe bin gelebt, all Yidam gezen on the Neshama Atzilus. And there was a guf that was margish in the Neshama Atzilus. Now there's no guf that's margish in the Neshama Atzilus. Doesn't mean that Eir Atzilus is smuvdal. And what are we margish? Or margish a much lower dagger. There was no shini there. The Eir Mitzad his mohos could be expressed now from his point of view, has the ability to be expressed in Elam Hazah. Lepoil, there's no mekabel that's margish. So there's the whole symptom is a helim. The symptom is not that the Eir, the Mahusa Eir was Mishtan. The Mahusa Eir is the same Eir. The symptom is that the Mekabel shouldn't be Margish this Eir. But Dugmas, like when they get there, with the fact that we're not sensing the energy which exists in the Elam Hazah, Elam Hatzilis. So there's when they get all the Shneim with Eir. The symptom is only a Helim, at the Mekabel is Nish Nirgash. But it's not, but Mitzad the Mahusa Eir, he's present on every level. But the ganze Blikvol sein. We'll see in other words, the Eir HaGvul, which is Nimshach in Elam Hazah, which is Nimshach in Tzemeach. In Husay, he's the same Eir HaGvul as Lifnei Tzimtzum. The Tzemeach is only Margish Eir B'tzir from Tzmicha, and Tzmicha Vasiya Agashmis. That's Mitzad his Hergish. But Mitzad the Mahus HaEir, it's the same Mahus as Eir Atzilus. And it's the same Mahus as the Eir, the way it is Lifnei Tzimtzum. What's the Pshat in them? So Lamers and
And the way it's before the Tzimtzum, it's all there.
Pshat in Eir Ablig. Yeah, I mean, but
I'm
saying the shaila, I said before, the shaila is you're going into how the versteht in Erev was a prat and blikvol hayes Erev was in Mifnas. That's not ein lamer zen. Saying what's the alderach zeh? I think this alderach zeh is the pnimius abir of this nekuda of the marshal when you get to the Erev. What does the Rabbi bring about? Alderach zeh mashkas mitzvah someone who's lokos, but dugmas Rav mashpia seichel talmidei. Sheseichel Rav hu shalei be'erech leseichel avanas hatalmid. כדי שיהיה לשכל אפילו בערך שכל בערך התלמוד. צריך לסלק שכל לגמרי, אחר כך אומרים שכל בערך התלמוד. אפילו כשמסלק שכל, אין הפירש אז אין שכל אצלי, אלא שיש אצלי השכל במקד. רק שאין זה שייך למקבל. But the Indian itself is not משתנה. בנגיע לקיש, שבני קבלה רב, אין שייך זה שרב בא שכל במקד. כי אם מדך שהוא צורך להמשיך לגל לשכל לתלמידי, הנה בזה אין שכל הרב בגולי. גם לי שכל הגבולי שבי. You have the lashon of the Rebbe here, because I think that's even though the lashon here I'm verstehen, you have the lashon of the Rebbe. Because but I verstehen the Rebbe's lashon, but the lashon of the Rebbe is no. This is Perek Vav. That's the first. This is Perek Vav. The Rebbe is thinking the Moshe the Rebbe Talmud. What else? I think the Rebbe's the lashon over here is which page? Very good. What do you mean?
Yeah, just the bottom.
Oh. It says, "K'miyad echma shel Rashi mashal asin tzchak memtin ekot lefi askolosish." Sh'al v'ken tzimtzum askolos rab oz eni b'chinas v'hu hu mamish elish tzimtzum asin. What's v'hu hu mamish elish tzimtzum asin? What's the pshat in them? It says the svarim tzimtzum is the same who as the Rabbi. Now the revert to the fact that the Eir is nimshach. And if you say, what's the pshat that this Rav? Why is it that the Rav is able? You say the seichel Rav said that's mishlei be'erech to the Talmud. The Rav has to go through the whole process of tzimtzum, and he's able to be masber his svara in a way that a Talmud Kodesh should be able to relate it. What's the pshat that the Rav could also come in a form that's behesing to the Talmud? That's misad amitis ablig volshavei. What I'm saying is, if you use the mashal of Ratzon, bechitzeni is the way we see it is that mitzad the muhus habli gvol, so gvol is not tevis makim. The Eir HaGvul, which is misachis the Welt, is a lower darge, which mitzad that darge is a tfisa smakim to the gvul of Eilmas. And maybe we're not being levatul. If that would be the Havana, then there would be shinuyim. If the Havana would be that the bli gvul kameshu b'm husa, the gabi the bli gvul, there's no mitzvah of gvul. Gvul is batul. Gvul is hakbalis and the system. The Eibusher himself is before the whole concept of tzimtzum. Mitzad that in Welt is batul. Mashenki mitzad the way it's nimshach la'acher at tzimtzum. The gabi this there's a mitzvah of Welt, there's a mitzvah of gvul. And the air comes in the eifin that is mizgala through the gvul. Why is he mizgala in the eifin of gvul and not being mavatal? Because the Gabi this earth, there's a tfisa smokim to the Metzias of Elam. If the Pshat is the smokim to the Metzias of Elam, then there'll be Shinuyim. Then the fact that there's a Shinuyim Welt, there's a Shinuyim of the Gabi him. In Elam Hazeh is Nidrika from Elam HaTzilis. So the earth is not Nimtza in Elam Hazeh the way he is in Atzilis. According to the system of Seder Shashalas, Elam Hazeh is a lower level of Atzilis. Can Zayin the Zelba earth and Atzilis done in Elam Hazeh? What's the beer that Atzilis, there's no Akbalas and Atzilis is done in Elam Hazeh? Because the Pnimius Inyan, the fact that the Rav could come an Eifen of Talmud, that's not the reason why that there's this Inyan of Erak Vol. As there can come an Eifen of Welt is not, once there's a Tzimtzum in the Smakim of Welt, Muslim come in a Weg, they're Mesachas to the Metzias of Welt. The Nekud is verkehrt. The Nekud is that Midas Ablik Vol is expressed in them that he doesn't have to come in a way of being Mavatal the Metzias. He's not limited that his Ein Sof should be in a Tzir of Shlila of the Metzias. Can come in the Tzir of the Metzias. And Ava became also Cheren Zayin. The Erak Vol, the fact that he comes Aidit Tzimtzum, that's not Bechitzenius, it's an Indian that he comes through Tzimtzum and he relates to Gvol. But Pnimius, that's Mitzad Amitis, a deeper Blik Vol which is expressed in the Erak Blik Vol. Means the fact that he could come on a Eifen without being Shelo the Metzias Ha'elam is, that's because he's not limited to be Dafkin a Eifen of his Galus of Blik Vol, Shlilas HaMetzias. He can come on in Metzias Eichen. Means the Eibishter's Achdus, the fact that his Ein Sof has no limits at all. So mitzad this Indian, he's kedel all miles. He could come in a way of negating everything. There's only him, or he could come in a way that there's everything, and the everything is also him. That's another expression of this pashtus elokus. It's not a lower Indian. If the pshat is that the whole gather of Erak Vol, then it's not in a smokim to the gather of Vol. Then the whole nikud of Erak Vol is that mitzad amitis of blig Vol of elokus. He doesn't have to come on a Eifen which is mevatel the mitzias. There is a mitzias and there is gdarim und dort in gufe wird zechern as they der emesis as they inside. His espashtus is not limited to being an Eifen of shlilas mitzias. He could come also in an Eifen of being mizgada through the mitzias. But that's not a lower target. The pnimius, it's not a lower target. It's fakert. It's the mitzvah ein sof of the air. The mele the pnimius, this air is not a different air than the ein sof. It says the air comes in the Eifen of Elam Haz. It's the Ein Sof, mitzad the fact that he's not mugbal to be dafka in the Eifen of Shlila, can Eichet come in Welt. So it's not a different mahos. It's nicht kein ander mahos. Huh?
That's the pure Shema.
You say the Rebbe's Mavar sometimes. So what's the wie versteht man the musik? There's the same thing. There's a nes, which this nes is mevatel teva, and then there's the nes which is not mevatel teva. Purim was mulubish with teva. So as I learned, Purim is a lower darga. The Bligvol itself is higher than Gvol. But you have the nest, it's not the Bligvol which relates to the gather of Vol. The emes is nicht as it. The emes is that there's only the Eibishter. Now, this the is that there's only him. How does, the fact that there's only the Eibishter is expressed in the fact that there's nothing outside of him? Or even if there's something, the something is also going to say that there's only him. This Nikud that there's only the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is Ein Sof. With was vertnes galu that the Eibishter is Ein Sof, not that there's nothing else outside of it. That's in a way that's verstandig. The Eibishter is Ein Sof and there is a Welt, and Welt Guf is a keli to their hair and that hulavadi uvein zolas. The air is nimshach in Gvul. That even in the tzir of Gvul is also kfiyah emes, also kfiyah Ein Sof. It's not a lower darga. So the pnimius of this air is the same Ein Sof, and there's no shinui. The fact that he comes in from Gvul is not because he's legabi him. There's a tfisa smokim to the Gvul. Legabi him, there's only the Eibishter. There's never a tfisa smokim to anything outside of the Eibishter himself. What's come to the Gvul? That's because the Eibishter's achdus has no limits, and all of it's saying that it should be expressed not by negating things, that there is things, and they themselves say in it levad. They themselves, through them, is going to be expressed the emes of it levad. So it's the same Ein Sof as the air. What's sheikh shini? Shini, if you say, is if there's degrees in how the Indian is made. You say, Elam Hazeh is a lower world than Atzilus. So Elam Hazeh is not so much of a keli that should be mayor the Ein Sof of Atzilus. That's the Shini. You have a lakus the way it's mayor in Atzilus. You have a lakus the way it's mayor in Elam Hazeh. If we say be'etzem there's no Elam Hazeh and there's no Atzilus, there's an Eibishter which is Ein Sof. How is this Ein Sof going to be expressed? So how is it? There won't be Metzias. Or you say no. The Eibishter is not limited that his Ein Sof has to be in the Eifen that there's nothing. There's everything. We're going to make Atzilus. We're going to make Biyah. What's the purpose of making Atzilus and Biyah? To bring out that the Eibishter's truth is not limited to be expressed dafka by saying that there's nothing. There is dargis and Zeh Alein on their hand did pnimius that there's only him. So the Mahos of Atzilus and the Mahos of Elam Hazeh is not two separate in Yanu. The Eir Leki of Elam Hazeh is the same Mahos of Ein Sof as the Eir which is Meir in Atzilus. This is the Eir. Zelba Mahos. The Poyel, the Merkabah halters dabei. Today, the people in the Hajj are not Kalim for the Eir Atzilus. So, what are we Masik? We're Masik Alakuas, we Mirfashtain. That's the same Likud Primus of Atzilus. What's the Nivr Elam Hazeh, but the Emes of Alakuas? The Eir is going to be Meir in his Mitzias. It's the Eir relates to his Mitzias, or because the Eibishter's Ein Sof is not limited in any Gdarim, and therefore he could be Meir even in a way that a Meir Kashmi can understand. So, what's being Meir in a Meir Kashmi? The Zelber Ein Sof of Elam Atzilus. The same Likud of Eir HaChochmat Atzilus is the area which is Meir in the Meir Gashmi. Zelda Mahos.
That's like the notion of like who is over here. It's more the Rebbe speaks in
Yeah,
the
so the
Moshe,
Lashon,
like-
because the Rebbe right away goes the Hamshich to what the Friedrich Rebbe wants is saying this there was a as a line for the Friedrich Rebbe's word. Lepel, what's the Nekuda target? Why? What does the Rebbe say? Legabe the Mekabel, the Talmud is not Margish. The Rav sees in all the he sees even in the Seichel HaMetzumtzum, he sees the Seichel HaBligul. Why does the Rebbe touches it? Why does he see the Seichel HaBligul? Because by the Rav, that's Shteit Chassidus. The Pnimius, why is that the Rav is able to be Mamtzi, to be Mazber Seichel even to Talmud? Because he doesn't have, because his Seichel is not limited to be that kind of Seichel Dak. That's Shteit Chassidus to Moscow. The Pnim, and according to that beer, the same Mohut, there's no Chilukim in the Erakvul. It's the same Mohus. We'll see it inside. It was We'll see it inside a little bit. But you get the idea in general. I think Stamazay, Legabi, what did the Rebbe see? There's three none of Malad in Ketz. There's the Malad in Ketz, and the Ilu of the Eir that the Eir could be Vesamos. That's the fact that the Eir could be an Eifin of Vesamos. That shows that he's not Mugdar in the Gedder of Gili. And then there is the fact that you see the mashal of the Magid, the Erakvol, is already the third inyan. But I'm saying the first inyan the Rebbe brings over here, that the Rebbe speaks three things. There's the Erab Ligvol, the Siluk, the Tzimtzum and the Erab Ligvol, which is the Friedrich reason for Rishon Mamer. Then there's the Baal Shem Tov, the Tzimtzum and the Erakvol, the Helam Acher Helam. And then there is the Magid, that not everything is not Shaykh. But the first beer that Rebbe brings here is the Hesem to the Ali and the Erem, so the Etzem inyan that could be Beis Amos. The fact that the Eir is nimtza b'kol makim, without relating to the tziyurim of the makim, that brings out the Ein Sof of the Eir. How Gvul has no tefisas makim like the Eir. The Mele, his mitzias is not dependent on the hergish of the makim. Eir is do b'kol makim. Eir is Ein Sof. The second inyan that is that the Eir Gvul there's no shinui. That's the word. That's the okay. That's shinish. This word is not going to. It's not mamish, but that could be with the Rabbi Shem Tov, that the Eir is mislabish and eisius and Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, and it's the same mahus. That's an Ili Neisif in the air. That even the Eira Gvol, this Inyan, that's a deeper musik of Blik Vol than the Eira Ein Sof expresses. Means that's a deeper Inyan. That even the Mitzias could be a Keli Ein Sof. It can merzan without being Shelo the Mitzias. That's a deeper Inyan, a deeper Ali in the air than the Eira Sof of Blik Vol Gufa. He's not mobile to the tzir of Pshittus, to the tzir of Bittel elements. They can stay in elements. Tell them, heard the Inyan. And then there's third Inyan, we'll see the Magid, that's the. Huh? Scans and a sot on earth. Where are we holding here? In a fish, he says, Mashal the Rabbi Talmud says, "Shlo berach lavanas v'as techol lavanas hatam." This yes, techol berach hatam. Yes, misal techol legam. Chayko mam techol berach hatam. Feel like misal techol in a fish doesn't techol. It's lo shesh este techol communicating. Like she in the shaykh lam kaplan. The Gabi the Rav is come from Chassidus, but the Gabi the Rav is meir the ganze emek asech. He's never not to know that the Gabi him he left. L'chura why? L'chura is there. He's preparing himself. Legabi the Rav, that's all that it's of his blik vul. The Mekabel is nicht margish. When again like Kisha sheyesh, but the Mekabel Rav. So that's what the Rav is a grace about seichel. That's hot to the Mekabel. The fact that the Rav seichel is not limited, the Mekabel is not margish. That. Kima the Kasha tzorch lahamshich legal seichel tamid. Ni mezein seichel Rav begoli. Gam li seichel buli shubei. Hainu seichel berach hatam k'mi shubar Rav begoli. It means the Eira Gvul, the way it's in the Eira blik vul. But mashen kim mitzad the Rav. The Eira Gvul always stays one with the Eira Blik Vul. Because it's always mitzad the Blik Vul, the Seichel Rav. Asher zen reis navane, shegam mitzad the Eir Lishanis. Sharashin eini be'er. Ki masher choser mekabel, she be'erach lekabel Eira Nevu. Eina is the Shiva Goli. Are you going to say, but l'chor it's the Eira Gvul? What's the Eira Gvul? It comes to fi erach the mitzvah v'shtalshel. So l'chor is the Avzayin Shenim. The Pnimis nish does it. The Pnimis are derech the marshal of Seichel Rav Talmud, that the reason why the Rav is seizing the Seichel HaMetzumtzum, the ganze Seichel Rav Blik Vul, because the Amitas Einin is the fact that he's able to be mamtzi. The fact that if the Seichel HaTalmud is be'erech, so you could say, he doesn't need a tzimtzum derech siluk, then the pshat is, wie can the Rav, the Chura is a sach tiffer from the Talmud. he's able to relate himself also to the Talmud. But the fact that the Seichel Talmud is Shalei Be'erech lower than him, if Shalei Be'erech lower, so how could he find a way to bring out his word that should be behesed to the Seichel Talmud? Because his Seichel Arav, that's a deeper bleak vol in the Seichel Arav. It's a deeper bleak vol in Seichel Arav, so B'amitis HaMuhus, the Seichel Talmud is the same Ein Sof as the Seichel Arav. So that's the beer why there's no Shini in the Erak vol.